Okay, so what I said on this week's rant was I was going to do some mailbags, just to catch on stuff that people had posted on the channel. So let's dive straight in. So this is a question from someone who calls himself the John Lennon fanatic. Do you mean before you put in the USB cable to unplug the computer power cable? This is in response to how to update the KRONOS 2 firmware video from January 2016. So, no. What I actually mean, John, I don't know whether your name is John, but I'm going to say John anyway. It's a cool name. It's because that's my name. When you instigate putting the KRONOS into the update mode, you must make sure that it's not plugged into the computer when you boot it up in update mode. And then you plug the computer cable in following the KRONOS booting up into update mode. Then you perform the update of the software onto the KRONOS. Then you disconnect the computer from the KRONOS to allow it to go through its update process. And then you reboot it, and when the KRONOS comes up in normal mode, then you can reconnect the computer again. So I hope that makes sense. It's you shouldn't have the computer connected when you're trying to boot it up into update mode, and the reason why you shouldn't have it is because effectively what the KRONOS is doing is it's opening itself up to be able to receive files, and if your computer is trying to send something down the USB pipe at the same time, you could end up corrupting your KRONOS, which is something you really don't want to do. So the sequence is unplug computer, put KRONOS, reboot KRONOS into update mode. When it's up in update mode, plug computer back in, transfer the files, transfer the update files, unplug the computer again, and then reboot the KRONOS. Okay, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Next one, from Akira Kamaisuri. Hopefully I've pronounced that right, but if I haven't, I do apologise. I really have trouble with people's names. That's a lot of keyboard covers. Well, it is. And this is in response to a Sunday morning rant I did in March 2016 as well. There's quite a few 216s here. I have a policy. Okay, when I buy a keyboard, I buy a cover for that keyboard. And that means when that keyboard is in the studio and it is just sitting there, I don't really want it collecting dust. Now, one of the biggest problems I've had, and this is my Oasis sitting behind me, and I can't get a keyboard cover for this. And the reason why I can't get a keyboard cover for this is because this screen has a finite life going up and down and up and down and up and down. And because I don't want to break the screen, I really can't put a cover on it at the moment. I haven't found a suitable solution for this thing behind me. What I tend to do is I've got a blanket actually I tend to put over the top of it, which is a fairly lightweight blanket because I don't want to put any stress on the screen, of course, but I tend to put a blanket over the top of it just to try and keep the dust off it. But one of the reasons why is to keep the dust off it, because I hate playing a keyboard with dust on it. Okay, it's just one of my pet hates. I don't like playing keyboards that are dusty. And I don't want to have the hassle of having to clean the keyboard every time I want to play it. Although I do regularly clean them, but I don't want to, if you want to play something, you've got an idea in your head, you just want to play, you don't have to go and get the cleaning solution out and clean the keys. Not a great idea. So that's one reason, that's the policy I have. I just buy it. The keyboard cover tends to go into the storage case with the keyboard itself, so that when it's not in the studio, it's in storage, but the cover's in there. And the second reason I buy the covers, I don't know whether you've noticed, but the covers themselves are actually padded. And it also means that if things get knocked into the keyboards, there's a degree of padding. There's not a lot of padding on there, but there's enough padding that actually means that it takes the jolt out of whatever. So if you drop something onto the keyboard while the cover's on it, you don't get a mark on the keyboard, because the padding, the cover takes the hit. If you drop fluid on it, the cover absorbs the fluid and you can just wash the cover then. But it also protects the keyboard from sort of jars and that sort of stuff, and cables dropping onto screens. And believe you me, you don't want cables dropping onto screens, especially with the modern stuff, because one of those screens will quite easily set you back, in the UK, a couple of £100. So, US, I don't know what, $250 or something like that. You can quite easily drop $250 on a brand new screen if you've dropped something on the screen and it cracks it. Just think about it as an iPhone screen. You know how expensive iPhone screens are, or Samsung screens, or whatever your model happens to be, whichever flavour. So that's the reason why when you see the Studio, you see a lot of covers. It's my policy to protect the keyboards. One of the things you will notice about the keyboards that I have in the Studio is the fact that a lot of them are quite old, and they really do need protecting. Otherwise, they won't be around for another 20 years. So the next one comes from Conti Bus. Great name, I like that one. Hi, I've just got a new TR-8 from PMT. Do you know if the upgrades are still chargeable? For some reason I've assumed before I bought the TR-8 that they would be free. Duh. Any advice you can give? This is in response to a video I did when I was upgrading the TR-8 and putting the 606 sound pack on. Now the 606 sound pack was a chargeable sound pack for the TR-8. And what Roland did effectively is they split the code base, so you ended up with the operating system for the TR-8 being split at some point. So you ended up with a higher operating system if you had the TR-8, the 606, and lower operating system if you had the normal sound file, the normal patches on there. And then they went and released some more, so I think it's all got a bit confusing now. I think, if I'm honest, and I have responded to you on this, that I do not believe that this is free yet. And I think the reason why it's not free is because you can still buy brand new TR-8s, even though they've now released the TR-8S, but you can still get hold of the TR-8 brand new. So there is still a market for that upgrade from Roland, and it's money from Roland, because they can carry on selling it. The other thing that tends to happen, and this is to a lot of people who are dealing with TR-8s, is if you don't get the registration card when you buy the TR-8, so when you buy a TR-8 you have to register with Roland. If you don't register with Roland correctly, then if somebody has previously purchased it and installed it, you need that code, because you can't, if you manage to wipe it out of the machine, you can't reinstall it without having to buy it again. Okay, so just be careful on that one. All the ARIA gear is exactly the same. They all come with codes, and if you're not careful, you will effectively, even though someone says selling with, if they don't give you the code effectively, if you manage to wipe it out and reset it to back to factory settings, then you could be paying again. Okay. The only thing I can suggest in this case is I think Roland should probably bite the bullet and either discount it out. So get in contact with Roland support, see if you can get something out of them. Unfortunately, what they do nowadays, as I say, you've got to have a code, and all this stuff is licensed. So it's either coming from the cloud, from the Roland cloud, or it's coming from somewhere else, but it's all licensed. It's all got key codes. So it's not like the good old days where you could just sort of pop up to your mate's house and get a disk backup of it. Not going to happen this time around. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so the last one for this section, from Daryl Mendoza. Sir, can the PG1000 be used with a Yamaha keyboard like a PSR? This is in response to the Roland PG1000 installation and setup video I did in July 2016. Told you there's a lot of 216s in here. I'm going to give you the short answer is no, but I am going to caveat that. So if you look at the PG1000, effectively it's got lots of sliders on it, okay? And what it was designed to do was there's meant to be one slider effectively for each parameter that you could modify on the synthesizer. So the D50 and the D550, if you attach this thing to those synthesizers, you could effectively change the way that a sound was created by modifying the parameters. And each one of those parameters you could finely tune with those sliders. That's how it's been built to operate. I dare say you could map what those sliders were sending down the MIDI channel, or those sliders would map to functions on a PSR keyboard that may allow you to change the sound. Okay, however, it would be fairly random. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say here. So you might get some things to change, but it would be a randomness. So it was specifically based for the Roland D50 and D550 synthesizers. The other reason why I think it probably wouldn't work is that one of the first things you do when you are working with the PG1000 workflow is you load the sound into the PG1000's memory. Okay, there is a way of doing that up front, and I doubt that is replicated by another manufacturer's keyboard. So I think you may have a problem trying to actually get the sound in there to actually do the modification in the first place. Now, what's transferred backwards and forwards, I've never looked at the MIDI, so I have no idea how that data dump works. I just know how to set it up and how it works. But I think you're flogging a dead horse with this one, if I'm brutally honest. If I'm honest, go buy yourself a D50 or a D550. You have far more fun than trying to modify a PSR. So this is the point in the video where I turn around to you, my viewer, and say, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. The way the Google and YouTube analytic engines work is that the more likes you get against a video, the more it gets promoted by YouTube and Google, and therefore more people with the similar interests to what you have and I have get to see this content. This channel is driven by my love of music technology. That's what it's called, the Music Tech Guy for. If you've got queries, want to ask questions about themes or issues I raise on this channel, please, please, please do. Put your comments into the comment section below the video, and I will try to address whatever issue it is you've raised or whatever question you've raised. If it's something to do with me making future videos in terms of how to do something on a particular piece of equipment I possess, please feel free to say that as well. I can't promise to make videos on all the requests I get, but I do have a jolly good go at making most of them. Around about here is the subscribe button. Again, to do with the YouTube and Google analytic process, the more subscribers the channel gets, the more the channel gets promoted, and the more people get to see the content that you have obviously just watched. If you want to see my latest video, it will be in one of these two boxes on this side of the screen. Also, there is a second box there, and that video will be chosen for you by YouTube based on your YouTube preferences. I look forward to the next time that we interact. And I do mean interact, because I always enjoy reading your comments back to me. But for now, bye-bye.